Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. So this video is regarding the questions from the science section. Okay, the candidates, those who are appearing in the mains examination for both upper as well as lower PCS examinations, you might be aware that there is a section and it is mentioned in the syllabus that questions on general science and environment will be asked, and they will cover the general understanding and application of science, including matters of day-to-day observation and experience, and that can be expected from an educated person, okay, without having to make a special study on any particular scientific discipline. Okay, so based on this portion of the syllabus, I have tried to make or tried to formulate certain questions that you can expect in the upcoming examinations. Okay, so I have made approximately 20 questions, or I have, in a way, compiled 20 questions. You can practice on the same line, or in case you want further videos, then please post it on either the Telegram channel or in this YouTube video comment section, and I'll make more videos for the same. And we'll try to complete as much as possible because not much time is left for the exams. Okay, so without much delay, let's begin. Okay, so the first question is, why does the earth bulge out at the equator? Okay, so the reason for this is that the earth is not a perfect square, not a perfect sphere. Okay, it is actually made up of it is the actual shape is known as geoid. Okay, it is a geoid structure, and because there is a difference in the diameter between the polar and the equatorial regions, that is approximately 43 kilometers, and due to the earth's rotation a centrifugal force is created which further increases the equatorial diameter. Okay, so hence it bulges out. So the actual reason is because of the rotation of the earth this happens. It creates a bulge at the equator and creates the difference between the diameters at the equator and at the polar regions. Okay, and the shape is known as geoid. Now the second question is, why does the sun appear red at sunset and sunrise? So you might be aware that the visible spectrum consists of Vibgyor. Okay, it is from 400 to 700 nanometers, the wavelength. Okay, 700 nanometers means the highest wavelength is of the red color. So what happens is that in our atmosphere there are several dust particles. Okay, they are very small particles, and because of these small particles scattering of light takes place. Now what happens in scattering is that the seven colors, they scatter according to their wavelengths, and since the red color has the highest wavelength of 700 nanometers, it spreads or scatters the most. Now since it scatters the most, therefore it is actually the one which travels long distances, and hence we are observing the red color at sunrise as well as during the sunset. Okay, so the main reason is scattering of light. Now the third question is, why is the ozone layer necessary for our survival? So as you are aware that the ozone layer is present in the stratosphere, okay, and it absorbs the ultraviolet rays. Now these ultraviolet rays, if they are not observed and they reach the earth, then they can cause several problems. For example, skin cancer, skin diseases, or even irritation on the eyes, or even they can cause blindness and affect the plants as well as animals. So in a way, life will become impossible. Therefore, the ozone layer is extremely important for us. Now the next question is, why does the sky appear black from the moon? This happens because the moon has no atmosphere, and therefore the sky looks completely black when it is viewed from the moon. Okay, now certain questions which are very important because Uttarakhand is mostly a hilly state, so this is a question we can expect. So why are the roads bent inwards on the curves? And the other term for this is, why are the roads banked, or the banking of the roads? Why do we have to do the same? So what happens is, since in hilly regions the road is not straight, okay, there are curves in the roads, and because of these curves what happens is that while a vehicle is moving in a curved path, it results in the formation of centrifugal force. Okay, so this centrifugal force, it moves from the center towards the outside. So if the vehicle is placed like this, then what happens is that centrifugal force will try to push the vehicle outside, and this can lead to accidents, and the vehicle may skid outside. And as you are aware that in hilly areas there are either mountains on one side and on the other side there are valleys. Okay, so the car or the vehicle might actually skid into the valley or might be prone to accidents. As a result, what happens is that they bank the roads. So what happens is that in that the road is bent inwards, so there is a slight angle that is created, and this actually provides the centripetal force. So the centripetal force in a way balances out the centrifugal force, and hence the net force or the net effect is zero. So the cars, they do not skid away. Okay, so that is the reason why the roads are banked in hilly areas in the curved paths. Next question is, food takes longer to cook on the mountains. What is the reason behind that? So atmospheric pressure, it decreases with altitude. Altitude means the higher you go towards the hilly areas, the altitude increases, and since the altitude increases, the atmospheric pressure decreases. Now the boiling point is directly proportional to the pressure. So when the atmospheric pressure is reducing, that also means that the boiling point is also reducing. Now if the boiling point has reduced, water will boil very fast. Instead of boiling at 100 degrees centigrade, it will start boiling at 90 degrees centigrade. So when the water boils off, so the appropriate or the required temperature or heat energy is not being provided, and hence it takes longer or it is difficult to cook on the mountains. Okay. Next question is, water remains cool in earthen pitchers. Okay, so what is the reason behind that? So there are small pores in case of earthen jars or earthen pitchers. Okay, and from these pores water moves out. When the water moves out, it starts evaporating, and when evaporation takes place due to a loss in heat, the water cools down. Okay, that is why the water remains cool, because of the presence of these pores in an earthen pitcher. But in case of a container which is made up of metal, first of all there are no pores, and secondly, due to absence of pores, no evaporation takes place because it is covered from all the sides. Now, and the other reason being that metals, they start absorbing the heat. Okay, therefore no cooling takes place, and in case of a metal container or a metal pitcher, the water does not remain cool. Next question is, ice and salt mixture is used as a freezing agent by manual ice cream makers. Now this can also be asked in a very different manner. You can say that why does the ice not melt if salt is added to it? So when salt is added to ice, it reduces the temperature of the ice because it decreases the freezing point. Okay, now since the freezing point is decreased, the ice can remain for a much longer period of time as compared to normal or pure ice. Okay, so as a result of this, this is helpful and is used by manual ice cream makers for making ice creams. Okay, next is, why is it not advisable to sleep under trees at night? So trees, they are performing photosynthesis during the day, and they are performing respiration during the day as well as during the night. But when there is night or when there is absence of sunlight, then they are not able to perform photosynthesis. And as you all might be aware that during photosynthesis, the carbon dioxide is taken and oxygen is given out as a byproduct. Now since at night photosynthesis is not taking place, only respiration is taking place, so even the plants are giving off carbon dioxide, and if we sleep under a tree, then due to the presence of carbon dioxide, it becomes fatal or injurious for our health. Okay, due to lack of oxygen, it can cause hypoxia or the lack of oxygen, which can further impact the presence of oxygen in our body and can be fatal. Therefore it is advised not to sleep at night under a tree. Next question is, trees in hills have needle shaped leaves. Now there are two reasons behind this. Okay, first reason is that because of the needle like shape, the transpiration rate is reduced. Okay, so this helps prevent water loss. The second reason is that since in hilly areas there is a possibility of snowfall, so what happens, due to the conical shape and the pine like leaves or needle like leaves, the snow is able to fall down easily. Okay, it is not able to hold or able to sit on the leaf, and as a result the frost damage or damage due to extreme snowfall is prevented. So that is why the shape is like that. Okay, next question is, why are the roads curved in hilly areas? Okay, there are several reasons behind this. First of all, if there would have been straight roads, first of all it would become so steep that many a times vehicles like trucks and even many people would not be able to actually drive the vehicles. It might also be slippery when there is presence of ice or when there is frost, then also it might lead to slippery roads and a lot of accidents. The third reason is that having curved roads provides stability and also helps the people observe the traffic. Okay, as if you have traveled in the hilly areas, then you might be aware that okay, you are able to see if a vehicle is approaching. I'm not talking about the roads that are cut through the hills. I'm talking about the regions wherein they curve the road in such a manner that you are able to observe okay that a vehicle is coming from this region to the other region, okay, because you are in a way able to observe the same. Okay, and the fourth reason is that in order to follow the natural topography, because of the hilly areas they are already a very curved kind of road present, so they actually follow the topography, and in order to prevent the occurrence of landslides they try to follow the natural topography of the area. Now, the next question is why water sticks to the glass while pouring. So, there are two kinds of forces. One is cohesion and the other is adhesion. Okay, the cohesive forces are those which exist between two water molecules. Okay, between the same molecules, it is cohesive force, and adhesive force between two different kinds of molecules. That is which is existing between the water and the glass surface. Okay, now what happens in case of glass surface, that the adhesive force between the glass and the water is stronger as compared to the cohesive force between two water molecules. As a result, the water sticks to the glass while we pour it. Okay, and hence we observe the water droplets. Next question is why does the skin on fingers shrink when we wash clothes for a long period of time? So what happens is that the cells present in the skin, they are covered by a cell membrane. Okay, and the cell membrane is semi permeable in nature, which means that water can flow inside or out. Now, while washing clothes, since most of the times the detergents they are hypertonic, as a result water starts moving out of the skin into the hypertonic solution or the detergent solution, and therefore the skin appears to be wrinkled or it shrinks. Okay, and the term given for it is exosmosis. Okay, next, why do we feel sleepy after eating? So what happens if we take a diet which is rich in fat, carbohydrates or calories, then it starts inducing sleep. Why does this happen? Because if the food contains a lot of tryptophan, tryptophan is an amino acid which in turn helps in the production of serotonin, and serotonin is an enzyme which regulates the sleep cycle. If the serotonin levels increase, it starts inducing sleep. Okay, also if we take a carbohydrate rich or a sugar rich diet, then what happens is that there is not enough insulin present in our bodies, and insulin is actually what is responsible for unlocking the sugar into the bloodstream. Okay, so if there is a lack of insulin, there is a lot of accumulation of sugar inside our body, and that leads to generation of fatigue, and that induces sleep. Okay, now next question is why leaves fall in autumn. So during winters already there is lack of sunlight. Okay, and since the main purpose of the leaves is to make use of sunlight and produce carbohydrates, so when there is already winter happening, there's a lack of sunlight, so plants need to retain the water and whatever energy they have in order to tide over the winter season. So they prepare themselves for the winter season in advance. What they start doing is that during autumn they shed their leaves. Okay, and when the leaves are not present, because they'll all obviously not be working during the winters because there is a lack of sunlight, so by getting rid of the leaves they in a way prevent excessive water loss, and hence they are able to tide over the winter season. Okay, the last question for the day, no, not the last question, a few more questions are left. So why is it advised to take iodized salt? Or they can even ask you that why do hilly regions, why do the people suffer from goiter? So what happens in hilly regions, the water naturally does not consist of iodine. Okay, and iodine is important for the proper functioning of the thyroid gland. Thyroid gland is the one which produces thyroxine and is responsible for the normal metabolism in the body. So it is advised to take iodized salt so that the iodine can help the thyroid function properly, which in turn can help the body function properly and prevent diseases like goiter. Okay. Next is, why is the freezer always placed in top portion of a refrigerator? See, nowadays there are so many refrigerators, they even have this new technology wherein they can place the freezer anywhere, okay. In the earlier times, the freezer used to be placed just in the top section. So why was that happening? So you might be aware that warm air rises and cold air it sinks. So because of the conventional currents, the fridge was made in such a manner that the cool air would sink from top to bottom, and as a result the entire fridge would be cooled down in the process. But nowadays the cooling coils are there and they have ducts or pipes wherein they can help the cool air reach all the portions of the fridge. So now they are placing the freezer portion anywhere in the fridge, okay. Now the next question is, why are the manholes round? So for the carrying of the sewage pipelines, at different locations the opening is covered with a manhole and it is usually round. So what is the reason behind that? Okay, first of all, when the opening is round, so there is no concept of placing the manhole in a wrong manner, okay, because it is completely round. You can place it in any manner, it will be placed in a similar manner, okay. For example, if it would have been a square shaped, okay, then it might be a possibility that someone might place it diagonally, or it might fall into its own hole, okay. So in order to prevent that, mostly the manholes they are round. So because it cannot fall in its own opening because it is completely round. Secondly, it is easy to install because there is no specific alignment that you need to follow. You can place it in any manner, it will be placed like that only because of its circular shape. And the third is, it is more practical and facilitates easy movement of people as well as vehicles if they are moving above it, okay. Now next question is, the bees when they sting humans they die. Why does this happen? So the stingers, they are actually the ovipositors which are present, which is actually a tubular structure and it is extending from the abdomen. What happens is, ovipositor is a structure in the bees wherein they lay eggs, okay, and it is attached to their abdomen or their stomach. Now when the stinger is left by the bee, when the bee bites, it leaves its stinger, and in the same process, in a way, it tears its abdomen, okay. The stomach gets teared up, and because of that, eventually it leads to the death of the bee, okay. Next question, and the last question for the day is, birds perching on bare high power line don't get shocks, while a man standing on ground on touching it gets a fatal shock. Why does this happen? So the birds, when they sit on the live wires, there is no potential difference because the entire body of the bird is actually just attached to the live wire. So there is no potential difference because the potential of the bird as well as the live wire is the same. Because of no potential difference, there is no movement of current, okay. While what happens in case of a man, if the man touches the live wire with his hand, he is touching the wire with his hand, but his feet are placed on the ground, and since the human body acts as a conductor, and therefore there is a potential difference existing between the hand and the feet of the person, okay, because the feet is touching the ground which is at a different potential, and the hand is touching the live wire which is at a potential which is quite different from that of the ground. So this potential difference exists, and as a result the shock waves can travel through the body of the human being because of the current flow, and hence he gets a shock, and it can be fatal, means it can lead to even the death of the person, okay. So these were the questions that we discussed today. We discussed approximately 20 questions, and hopefully this might be helpful or beneficial for the upcoming examinations. In case you want me to post more videos based on this topic, then please tell me either on the Telegram channel or post it in the comment section, and we'll try to cover more topics from science, polity, history, geography, Uttarakhand specific and current specific portions. We'll try to cover as much as possible. Just 1 month is left. Just give in your best, guys. And always remember, whatever exam you're preparing for, you can do it. Okay, that's it for today. We'll meet in the next video. Till then, bye-bye and take care.